So was Jesus, all his teaching, the church, the religion, the sacred scriptures, everything just a hoax or a conspiracy? I'm going to lend a little bit of a different perspective, go down a rabbit hole that is not just solely based on this documentary. My beliefs, I am a Christian man. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in his teachings. I believe in the Bible. I believe in all of it. But to make this argument, I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to use prior experiences and facts to state this perspective. And to go down this rabbit hole, we have to look at what we've been taught our whole lives, what the media is shoving in our face, and what these social media and streaming companies are pushing at us. Little secret for you. There's a reason why this documentary is getting so much publicity and was approved to go on Netflix, the largest streaming company. So to go down this rabbit hole, we have to look at where the world is going right now. You could look at the world in many different perspectives, but themes that are going on in today's world that are new from 20, 30, 40 years ago is this flip from going anti-God, anti-Jesus, anti his teachings, and the rise of people that don't believe in God or don't believe in Christianity or don't believe in any supernatural heaven or hell. That has been on the rise. Publications and research show that atheism or not believing in God or agnosticism is actually on the rise. Bear with me here, I'm getting to my point. And now us, the end consumer, the people that buy Netflix, I don't have a Netflix, I haven't had it for 10 years, are getting fed things through a filter of what that company wants to push out. So of course, if the trend is up with going against the teachings of the church, against the teachings of Jesus, against everything that he does, of course, a streaming company such as Netflix would accept this documentary, number one, push it out for popularity, number two, and give it to creators to push out, number three. So watching something for entertainment is completely different. But jumping into something, buying into something as little sheep because we think that this is just a popular documentary coming out and not asking the question, why is this a popular documentary coming out? Because this gets me to my first point. So my first point is we have to ask why this documentary is getting so popular, getting so much traction. For example, you remember when What the Health came out with producer Joel Kahn, got so much publicity, got blown up by creators, by the streaming service itself, and it was something that everybody talked about. And we never asked the question, why? Well, to find out the answer why, we need to see the other perspective or the other side of the spectrum from What the Health. So on the other side of the spectrum, the other perspective, have you ever heard of the documentary Sacred Cow? I'll wait. I'm guessing none of you have heard of the documentary Sacred Cow. Do you want to know why you and nobody else has heard of Sacred Cow? It's because Netflix declined them and their agenda is not aligned with what Netflix wants to push. Again, it gets back to asking the question, why? And you would be so oblivious to think that Netflix, the company and the people behind it, do not have an agenda to push. So Netflix completely said, no way, we're not going to allow Sacred Cow, which was about regenerative farming, being able to turn your crops, being able to use livestock as the way to save our planet instead of the actual rhetoric that is going on where they say it's going to kill our planet. There's global warming. There's all this stuff from these cows when they are the only thing that can save this planet. And none of you seen that. I did. But none of you seen that because it was completely banned off of Netflix, Amazon, anything. They had to do a private release. And so what's the question? Why? What is the agenda? So going back to What the Health with Joel Kahn as the producer, this creator said he was captivated by it and really liked the documentary, which would make sense to the person that doesn't ask the question why, because we just go in for entertainment and then believe everything that is put in front of us through this filter of Netflix and all their agendas. So I have 2 points on What the Health. Did you know that the producers had one of the largest vegan supplement companies that they were pushing along with the marketing of What the Health? And number 2, did you know a true scientist in Chris Kresser went on the Joe Rogan podcast and dismantled all the research that Joel Kahn and the producers pushed through What the Health? Probably not, because Joe Rogan can't go on YouTube. Joe Rogan only does his Spotify. And Joe Rogan is not on Netflix talking about this stuff. This is one example of Sacred Cow getting declined all the major streaming companies. And documentaries such as What the Health are pushed out, they're elevated, given to creators to push out, and absolutely put to the top of the list for these streaming services. And you know what I'm going to say? Ask yourself the question, why? Why was What the Health pushed when all their research was very spotty and was dismantled by somebody much smarter than myself? And why was Sacred Cow pushed off of every single streaming service? So now let's get back to the documentary at hand, Conspiracy or Christspiracy. Before we are led into this like a bunch of sheep as entertainment to buy into the rhetoric that they're talking about, let's ask the question, why? Why is this being pushed out? Where is the trend of the world going? What is the perspective that these social media and streaming companies want to push? Again, I told you, I set aside my perspective. I'm talking about a completely different subject. I'm setting aside my beliefs and the things that I find to be true with my religion. And I believe in the freedom of speech, in the freedom of production, and the freedom of believing whatever you want. But I'm also a believer of an equal playing field when it's on the other side of the spectrum, when it's against the agenda of Netflix, when it's against the agenda of all the social media companies. The best way to combat bad speech is good speech. The best way to dismantle disinformation is with good information. So I truly believe that God will work in crazy ways. And the people that watch this that are trying to be fulfilled that the whole thing is a lie, that God will work in very creative and amazing ways to bring more people back to him. And so I want people to watch this. I want people to believe what they want to believe, but you have to ask yourself the question why before just diving into something blindly as a marketing campaign from these companies so that they can push the perspective they want, number one, but most importantly, completely abolish any perspective that is against anything that they believe. I hope you can see that. I hope I did a good enough job of actually talking about the other side of the coin so that you can see that everything that we're fed is for a reason, and everything that we're fed is through a filter that we don't get to choose. So believe what you want to believe. Watch this with an open mind because I know God will work through it. But next time, because there will be a next time, ask yourself when there's such a big documentary coming out and it's so big and everybody's talking about it, why? Why is it so big? Because there's always a reason behind it.